Right. So, very good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining in. Lovely evening, and those who are joining outside the country. So, good morning to all. And yeah, so this is our third event, and since we call it beginning because we are still in the initial phase of the CNCF. But yeah, we are doing good. So, I would encourage everyone to join and let other people also share this. So, our mission is about the innovation, collaboration, and learning. We want to make this things simple because most of our community members belong to students and those who are just starting out in the cloud. So we try to achieve that. And let's talk about today's agenda. So we have our first speaker for tonight, Julia, and welcome, Julia. So second speaker would be the Divine, and at last we'll be having a wrap up and Q&A sessions. You can ask the respective questions to the speakers. So the organizers, myself, Ashutosh. So I have over a decade of experience in this infrastructure industry. Although I'm quite new to cloud native, but yeah, I've worked with Linux servers and other, you know, industry related. And Mohit is my co-organizer, and he's also quite tech involved in open source projects and is also a Microsoft student ambassador. Apart from that, he has also contributed towards the cloud native journey. So speaker, like I said, Julia, the first speaker. So she'll be discussing about non-tech to CNCF ambassador. So even if you're not from the tech background, no need to worry. We are there for you to guide. And who is better than Julia, right? So she is working as a global technologist at Veeam Software, if I'm pronouncing it right. Otherwise, uh, pardon me for my pronunciation. And then we have Divine, who's founder of everything at DevOps. So he'll be talking about how you can contribute to cloud native ecosystem and why you need to be. Because first of all, you need to know why you should contribute and how you can contribute. So this is just you. The prerequisite is you need to be curious. That's it, nothing else. Even though you're new to cloud native, you're always welcome. So that's about the today's agenda. And now I would request my first speaker, Julia, and to begin. And yeah, over to you, Julia.
I don't know. I can't share my screen actually.
Just hold on. I think
Yeah.
I'll stop sharing
Oh,
now.
perfect. Now, yes. Yeah, I think everyone should be able to see my screen now. Let me know if you can't, just write it in the chat. But hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here for the invitation. I love telling my story to everyone. I hear that's very inspirational because I come from a non technical background and I became a CNCF ambassador 2 years ago. Also, I'm an AWS container hero. So hopefully, this talk will help you, will give you more inspiration for your own career. And as they already introduced me, I'm a global technologist at Veeam, and you can find me on all social medias as Julia F. Morgado. So before I start, I see we don't have a lot of people. Let me just open the chat to make sure everyone can see. Yeah, okay, great. Usually I do a raffle. I have a lot of credits like with the CNCF, AWS. If you want to post something on LinkedIn about something you learned from this talk, I'll raffle something nice and then I'll message you. But let's start. So just a little intro about myself. Before I joined the technology world, I used to be a lawyer. So originally, you might hear there's an accent there. I'm originally from Brazil, and I went to law school there. But after that, I moved to the US and I couldn't work as a lawyer, so I decided to study business. I went to California and I studied at UC Berkeley. You can see there, I even gained some weight while studying, which is normal. And from there I started working in business, also marketing. And my last job was at an MSP. This was during COVID. I was working for a managed service provider. They provide IT services for other companies. So I was dealing with a lot of engineers, also IT support, DevOps engineers, software engineers. And that's when I started wanting to become more technical. I knew I wanted to do like a course or something. And then in 2022, I found this boot camp online called 100 Devs. So I saw on Reddit there was a post about this boot camp. And if you're interested, you want to become more technical and you don't know how to start, I have some guides. So I have YouTube videos about that. I have a blog post on how to start, and everything is available for free on the internet. And I really, really, really recommend it because it's not just about technical skills, it's also about the soft skills, which I'm going to talk a little bit more during this talk. But this is perfect for who wants to get in tech, for the first time, and also people that are already in tech but want to improve their careers. So part of my assignments, my homework for this boot camp, beside all the coding challenges and programming websites, etc., because it was more a full stack boot camp to become a full stack engineer. One of the homeworks were coffee chats. So what are coffee chats? Coffee chats are basically uh, short calls with people that are already in the industry, just to talk about what they do on a day-to-day basis. If they had, I used to ask if they had any advice for me because I was starting out in tech. And I did more than 100 of those. I would reach out to people on LinkedIn and ask them if they have 15 minutes of their time. And I have a spreadsheet with all the coffee chats I did, who I contacted, their LinkedIn or their email, and what we talked about. And, it can be a little awkward at the beginning when you're starting doing these coffee chats, but I have also a blog post about it with questions that you can ask and tips to make it less awkward and so you can feel more comfortable. And I also recommend doing that because you're gonna grow your network. Networking is one of the most important things in tech, and I believe in all industries, but it can really put you ahead of so many people, especially if you're looking for a job and if you're struggling, getting that foot at the door at different companies. It's all about who you know and who your network, the other people that know as well. So if you're interested, go just Google the complete guide to ace your next networking coffee chat, and you'll find the blog post. I believe this presentation will be available online, but also if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me after. Another concept that I applied while I was doing that coding bootcamp, and I still do even nowadays, is learning in public. What does that mean? Everything that I learn, any new concept, I try to create a piece of content out of it. So it can be a YouTube video, it can be a blog post, it can be, creating a repository on GitHub and documenting it. It can be a short on Instagram or LinkedIn as well, like just a regular post on LinkedIn, because everything that you are facing, other people are probably facing as well. The questions that you had and the struggles that you had, other people are going through that as well. So you're gonna help them. And by learning in public, it's showing other people the work that you're putting into learning. So it gives you credibility, it helps you with exposure. Obviously, it's going to take some of your time, because you have to, stop what you're doing. If you are, debugging something, you need to document it and then publish it. But I would say the outcome of doing this is, tenfold. People are gonna get to know you, and you get exposure in your career. So this is great. And if you want to learn more about what learning in public means, there is a friend, he wrote a blog post, and you can also check it out. The link is on the screen. Now, another thing that people don't think about and they are afraid to start is contributing to open source. And you can start doing even if you're not technical. And it's a great place, a great way to make friends and to learn and decide where you want to go. Because in tech, there are so many paths that you can go. So you can become a software engineer, you can go more in the cloud space, you can go DevOps, infrastructure. Now there's platform engineer, there are AI, ML, there are so many things. And people starting out, they usually feel overwhelmed, which I did. So things that helped me were the coffee chats. So I would message people that work in different fields and ask them what did they do, just so I could understand better what their job entailed. And also contributing to open source. So you can start with, basic contributions like writing documentation and fixing documentation. You can localize documentation, which is basically translating content from one language to the other. I speak 4 languages, so I translated a lot of the Kubernetes documentation, the CNCF glossary into French, Portuguese, and Spanish. But depending on your language, I'm sure there are projects that are doing translation to your language and vice versa. So you can do that as well. You can create content. So blog posts are also can be an open source contribution. There are a lot of projects. You just have to open a PR, and they will add, if you gave a talk or if you wrote a blog post about that, you can add that to the project repository. You can open new issues. You can label issues. You can test the new features, clean up code if you're a little bit more technical. You can organize and volunteer or speak at events, which will go into that. But there are so many things, and you don't have to be afraid to start. You just need to know how to use Git and GitHub, mostly GitHub, but I also have a step-by-step guide for that. So I have several YouTube videos and blog posts on how to start for the first time, because I was afraid as well when I was starting out. So, I created content the way I wish I had found when I was starting out. So feel free to check it out. I have a lot of, blog posts and videos, and the links are on the screen as well. And besides that, I think going out and meeting people is very helpful as well. So as soon as I started, studying coding, becoming more technical, I started getting involved in communities. So I started organizing events. At first, I just organized a meetup in my community. So in New York, it was a coding meetup. And we started with 3 people. And as it grew, we started having 100 people showing up, as you can see on the top left picture here on the screen, and it was great. Now I don't organize it anymore because I switched a little bit from just coding more to cloud and that and the DevOps space. The meetup still exists, but there are some other organizers, and I started organizing the KCD New York, so the Kubernetes Community Day, the CNCF meetup in New York as well. And I also organized the AWS Community Day in New York. So, but you don't have to start at first organizing 10 meetups, 10 events. I would say start maybe going to these events, attending these events, volunteering is a great thing that you can do, because then you don't have to pay for the ticket, and people see that you want to help, you're willing to help, you're willing to learn, and you build a relationship with the other organizers, and maybe one day they can invite you to organize with them as well. So this happened with one of the meetups that are organized. We had a volunteer that would come every time, and not official volunteer, but he would come and help out in any way that that he could do. And then we started seeing his interest, and we asked him if he wanted to start organizing with us as well. So it's a great way to get involved with your local community and get exposure in the CNCF community as well. Now, another thing that you can do is speak at events. So you can start speaking at smaller events. First, you can actually start speaking at recording yourself on YouTube, or doing live streams in the comfort of your own house. I know this sounds scary, but the first one will probably be uncomfortable and scary, but it gets easier as you progress. And also speaking at local meetups. For instance, you can speak at this meetup that I'm presenting now. Just I would say, reach out to the organizers and tell them, hey, I have this great idea. Would there be a meetup that I can present it? I'm sure they would be glad to have you on stage here as well. And one great tip that, as you can see on the pictures, that I do is, usually I have also always, not always, but usually I have a co-speaker. So you have a less to prepare. The load is shared. So you prepare your part, the other one prepares their part, then you rehearse. But not only that, you get to learn a lot from the other person. So if you're afraid of starting or giving a talk in public, I would say find a friend and tell them, hey, let's submit a talk, let's give a talk at an event, and you're gonna see it feels great. I think once I started, I didn't want to stop, and now I give talks all over the world. I just gave 2 talks at KubeCon in London, and I love it. Also, I have a repository with all my talks, so this is a good idea as well to document what you're doing, and all my talks and my upcoming talks. If you want to check it out, it's on my GitHub. So Julia F Morgado as well. And you know from all these things that I already told you, basically the goal is not only to learn and get exposure, but also meet people, because at the end of the day, when you're working with other people. When you want to find a job, you will have to work with other people, so you need people in your life. If you want to learn something, it's easier if you learn with other people, if you're able to ask questions to other people. So I would say focus on meeting other people, on networking, but building those relationships. And everywhere I go to, I try to meet people also online. I still have coffee chats and live streams with people. If I'm traveling somewhere, I try to reach out to local people, or I try to organize, a small meetup at that place. And that has helped me build a really nice network. And let's say nowadays, if I have a question about something that I don't know, I'll reach out to one of my friends that is, an expert on that. Or if I want to give a talk at a certain conference, but I don't want to give that talk by myself, I'll reach out to someone. So having a community is really powerful. Having a network is amazing, and I really recommend everyone to do that. So from all that work that I've put in, I ended up becoming an ambassador, a CNCF ambassador, on March 2023. And it was a big surprise for me because, I wasn't expecting that, especially coming from a non-technical background. And these are the pictures of other ambassadors at the KubeCons I've been to. Um, And some people are so technical. So, I compare myself a lot to other people in the industry. And I used to tell myself, why am I an ambassador and other people, they have all the certifications from the CNCF, like the Kubestronauts, etc. I'm not at that level, but it's okay. It's okay because I can bring to the table other things that those people can't. We are unique in our own way, and we have to know our own value and use that to our advantage. So, I believe I'm a good public speaker. I'm good at connecting people with each other. I'm good at, personal branding and also creating content. So I've been helping that. I've been helping other people with that, and the community in general as well. And I know it's hard. The fear of failure really paralyzes you. We are always afraid and thinking, what are other people gonna think of me if I fail on stage, or if I post something wrong, if I write something wrong on a blog post, or if I mention something in a video, they're gonna judge me. And that's super normal. It's totally normal. Everyone thinks like that. You're not alone. I also am afraid, but we can't let that paralyze us. For instance, I have a great example about that. I gave a talk at reInvent last year, and it was a level 300, 400 talk. But one of the feedbacks that I got was that the talk wasn't technical enough. And we don't like negative feedback, but in my opinion, I think feedback is very important, if it's positive or negative, because you can only learn from that. Now I know from my for my next talk, I will improve that, the technical part. And people, they don't give negative feedback with wanting to hurt you. They want to, obviously they want something specific for themselves. They don't want to waste their time watching a talk if it's not what they were looking for. But you have to try to take that in a way that helps you grow, and not in a way that will block you and then you say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. Use that if for you to grow. So in my case, I'm going to grow from that. I already thought about what could I have improved in that talk. I spoke with the other speaker, the one that we delivered the session together. We're already submitting something for this year. So, I'm not letting that stop me. I'm only using that as a stepping stone to grow and become better in my career and in my talks in general. Imposter syndrome is very, very common. It is normal. If you feel that, believe me, I also feel that every day. Like I said, we compare ourselves to other people in the industry and people on social media. A lot of times, what happens on social media is not real. So people post all their achievements, etc., but you don't really know what's going on and if those things are true. But I would say I have a video on imposter syndrome because I feel like it's something that hits very close to me, hits home. Feel free to watch it. If you want to talk more about it, I also would love to chat about imposter syndrome. But it's normal. You just, again, you can't let that paralyze you. You can just let it come in and say, it's okay. Other people are doing a great job, but I can also do an amazing job, and I will do an amazing job because I am capable and I can learn, and I have the courage to go and do things. So don't let imposter syndrome stop you from doing anything that you want. Now, one thing that I've done that has really helped me is I have a list of all my accomplishments, because a lot of times you're working and you have so much going on in your life that you forget of the good things that you did. So every time I do something, I give a talk at KubeCon, I gave 2 talks at KubeCons, I put in that list. If someone messages me and says, hey, Julia, I really liked that piece of content, or what you did really inspired me, I take a screenshot and I put on that list. Because there are days, the journey is not always linear, is, bumpy. You have ups and downs. So when you're having a down moment, you look on that list and you will see why you remember, things that you did good, and that will give you a boost to keep going. So this is a great idea that I got from a workshop, and you should definitely implement it as well. Now, summarizing a little bit everything that I've told you already, mostly put yourself out there. Don't be scared, don't be afraid. You will only grow when you get out of your comfort zone, So go take chances, and go even if you're afraid, because when you're afraid, it means it's something challenging. And once you surpass that challenge, once you quest conquer that challenge, you're gonna feel so good. So get out of your comfort zone. As you see here, the red circle is where your comfort zone. So you're at home, you're just coding on your laptop, and then you get out, and then there's the fear zone. Maybe you can start doing videos on YouTube, live streaming. And then learning zone, you can start submitting talks, you can start creating content, doing coffee chats with people. And then the growth zone, you can, give a talk at a conference like KubeCon or KCDs. There are so many local KCDs in each country. So you should, always aspire to go to that green circle, but go slowly. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's a journey that you're going through. It's not a destination. People usually mistake that because they think, oh, I want to get from where I am today to point B. So, like, I want to get that job. But no, it's a whole journey. That job is not going to be the end goal, because after that job, you might want to get another job, or you might want to get other opportunities. So your career is a journey, it's not a destination. And also enjoy the process. Don't you'll be afraid, but try to use that fear as something good in your life. So, what should you focus on from everything that I talked about already? Build your professional story, have the why you're doing what you're doing. When people ask me, oh, how did you become a CNCF ambassador, or why did you get in tech? I tell them, I used to be a lawyer, and then I worked as an MSP for several years, and I wanted to become more technical. And that's my why. I have a story to tell people. Otherwise, people think, oh, like, people love listening to stories. So have your own story, your why you're here, and you're trying to do what you're trying to do. Also, network all the time. Network if you are at a party, if you are at a conference, if you're in the Uber. I've networked at so many places, and you'll be impressed with who knows other people, and then they put me in contact with the people that they know. So really, really try to do that. Focus on the right skills. Not only technical skills, but also soft skills are really important. So communication skills, public speaking, personal branding, like creating content. If you want more about that, I'm building like a study group around personal branding. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out to me. I'll add you to the group. We are still building that. And get involved in communities. So open source communities, the CNCF, hey, they have several projects. Go on their Slack, and join, message them, tell them you're just starting out, or you're curious and you want to learn more. And other communities, I'm very involved in the AWS community. There are cloud communities. There are, Node.js communities, AI, ML communities. There are so many things you can do. Don't be afraid to get out there and explore. And yeah, again, enjoy the process. If you want to learn more, I have given a similar talk. The title is the same, but the slides were a little different. I updated the slides, but at KubeCon in North America in 2023, I gave this talk as well, and I had a lot of other tips. So if you want to learn more and get some inspiration, go check it out. It's on the CNCF's YouTube, and feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, or I'm also on Twitter, I'm also on Blue Sky, but LinkedIn is the one I use the most. And message me. I always want to chat with other people about their journey, or what they're going through. If you need some type of advice, I'm always happy to help. And again, it was a pleasure to present. If you want to have me again, I would love to come again and present on another topic. But I hope this was insightful and helpful. And I don't know if we have time for Q&A. Maybe we have a few minutes. I'm not actually following the time. Ashutosh,
Yeah.
do we have?
uh,
Yeah,
yes, Julia, thank you so much. It was really
of
insightful.
course.
And yeah, we do still have a time for Q&A. So like five,
Cool.
6 minutes.
Yes.
So
Uh
people
huh.
who have all the questions, they can put in the chat, and I'll be happy to ask Julia. That would be
Great.
better
Yeah.
way. So guys,
Yeah.
we
I
are
have the
waiting for
chat
questions
open.
because that's really insightful from the Julia. Like, how to get into the how to break in the CNCF uh, ecosystem, how to get in, and it's really inspiring. So like in the meanwhile, people are not asking. I would like to ask, what is your tactics for growing the community, because we are facing trouble.
Growing a community.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, I know it's hard,
And secret
like I
sauce.
said, I started the meetup with three people, but the tactics to grow a community, I would say, is consistency. So what you're doing, keep going, keep doing these meetups online, also sharing about that on social media and asking people to reshare with their friends, etc. Maybe important is trying to bring value in some way. Another idea is maybe reposting content. For example, once this meetup is over today, maybe you can share on social media a recap what was learned in today's meetup, or repost people's thoughts about the meetup. It's all about engaging with the audience, with the community. Yeah, it's fine if no one has questions. They can also ask me on LinkedIn as well. Oh, I have seen many tech events, but as a beginner, how do I write a good CFP? That's a great question. People usually struggle with that. It's funny. I also have a blog post on that. I'll try to find that, and I'll post it on my LinkedIn. Or Karan, if you wanna message me on LinkedIn, I'll share the link with you. But first, AI is your best friend for everything. So usually I have an idea of what I want to write. I use AI ChatGPT to help me, make it better. But you have to be careful, because I have reviewed a lot of CFPs for KubeCons and other events, and we can tell when it's written by AI. So whatever you get from ChatGPT, you have to tweak it with your own words. Just use it as a stepping stone, first step, and then you have to tweak it with your words to try to make it sound more natural. But always in your CFP, in your abstract, you have to show the value, why people would want to watch that talk. What are you gonna teach the audience? Otherwise, the reviewers, the organizers from the event, they're not really gonna understand why they should accept your talk and not someone else. Also, depending on the event that you're submitting to, if it's a KubeCon or a KCD, which are the events part of the CNCF, it's really helpful if you talk about open source projects, part of the CNCF, if you mention them. If it's a more technical talk, maybe you can include a short demo, but also be mindful of the time that you have. This is a topic I'm passionate about. Maybe if Ashutosh, if the organizers here would like, in a few months, I can give a talk about writing a good CFP. That's a great idea, I think.
Yeah,
But
that would be great. We can do
yeah.
that.
Mhm.
We can do that.
Exactly. But yeah, it's an art. You get better as you do it, do more of it, and also ask for feedback. If you don't get accepted to a conference or to an event, ask for feedback why you didn't get accepted. You know, about was it something about your abstract? And usually organizers are happy to give you feedback. Yeah, it's indeed an art. And everything is a skill, you know, like technical skills, that the technical skills that you have, or soft skills. Writing a good CFP is another skill that you build on it. You start sucking at it, and then the more you do it, the better you get at it. The more you learn, oh, I should structure it this way, or I shouldn't mention these things, you know. And it's about not being afraid of putting yourself out there and trying. Because for me, the philosophy I take in my life is the no you already have, so go for the yes. In worst case, you'll get the no. You understand? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the best statement,
Hmm.
and I would
Yeah.
really support it because there is a lot of hype about AI. AI will not take your job. It
No.
can take your coding skills, but it can't take your
Hmm.
consciousness, right? The
Yes,
creative part, the
exactly.
art part, which
Yeah.
Divine also said. The name itself is divine, so he's right. So I believe if there is no other questions, so
Yeah,
it was
I will pass it to Divine, and
yeah.
I appreciate everyone. It was a pleasure. Thank
Yes,
you.
same here, Julia. It was lovely talking to you. And
Yeah, I'll stop sharing here and I'll close my.
over to you, Divine. So I hope you are doing good. And we would love to hear. We can't hear you.
I've been having issues. You can hear me right now, right?
Hello. Yeah, a bit.
You can hear me now?
Now it's fine. Great, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been having
And
issues with my
I
mic.
don't know what's the time zone at your good morning, good evening, whatever it is.
So
And
it's afternoon, right? This is
it's afternoon. Oh, all
yeah,
right,
3
great.
p.m. my
So
time.
I really
How do
welcome
you
you
do?
to the CNCG Dehradun, and it's like first communication we are having. Like I'm having problem with my camera, so I'm not switching it on, but maybe later on. But yeah, we would love to hear about the topic which you want to present, and thanks for having here. So yeah, over to you.
Yeah, so even though initially I didn't have time to like create a slide, but I was able to create a slide for this particular talk. It's just a short slide. So I don't know if you can see my screen.
I can see. I can see.
Okay. So hello, Cloud Native Dehradun, right? Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So today I'll just be talking about my CNCF journey, how I contribute, and how you can too. So, firstly, let me just start by telling you who I am, right? So, my name is Divine Odazie. I'm Nigerian. I don't know if you got that from my accent. I'm the founder of Everything DevOps. I'm an electrical electronics engineer and almost cube astronaut, right? Or cube astronaut, because like I just have two certifications left to go. And I'm an AWS solution architect, and I've been involved in data and Kubernetes community for 3 years now, and I'm an ambassador. And I'm excited to chat with you and share my experience, and hopefully it gives someone an idea of what's possible, right, and how to get to that which is possible. So briefly, I will just share like uh, my early CNCF journey, right? So this is the slide that I created, and it just highlights my CNCF journey just for the year of 2022, which is where I actually started being involved in the CNCF. So as you can see, in March 2022, I heard about the CNCF, right? So I was at a conference in Nigeria, and Chris who is the CTO of the CNCF, spoke at that conference, and he talked about Kubernetes and the community and all. Prior to then, I've known about Kubernetes. I've used Docker. I've been working in the industry for like years, right? So hearing about the CNCF, the community, and what's possible really inspired me, right? And later I watched the Kubernetes documentary. I don't know if any of you have seen that, but if you haven't, you can just check on YouTube and Google the Kubernetes documentary, and it's a very interesting documentary, right? So that was in March of 2022. Then fast forward to May 2022, I applied to contribute to Cilium on the via the Google Season of Docs program. I don't know if you heard of it, because my background is, though I'm an engineer, I also have expertise in um, technical writing and documentation, right? So I worked on Cilium from May 2022 to the end of the year, and I spoke at my first KCD, right, 2 months later, and I gave a talk on deploying EKS, or deploying a Spring Boot application, Spring Boot Java application on Amazon EKS. Then August 2022, KCNA certification. I passed my KCNA certification. Then at the end of the year, I got opportunity to attend the KubeCon in Detroit, yeah, 2022, via the KubeCon scholarship. And I spoke at the KubeCon DOK Day. DOK is Data on Kubernetes Community Day. And since December of 2022, a lot has happened, right? I can't necessarily put everything that's happened over the past like 3-4 years into a single slide, right? And this just gives you an idea of like what is possible, right? And I would say my journey has been kind of like an outlier being like a different, or like a one in a rare one, in the sense of like I came into the CNCF, like becoming involved in CNCF with a lot of experience, right? So that's why I was able to do a lot of things like being involved and like growing and all that, right? And I know some of you here are beginners, right? But there are still some things you can learn from my experience, right? Because like some of these things that I did, especially the Google Season of Dogs program, is something that other people that are both entry level, right? And there are some other programs that anyone can do, right? And speaking is something that you can do. I know if someone can feel like, okay, you don't know enough, right? But one thing, there's something I've come to understand, that thing that you feel that is not important, there are a lot of people that don't know about it, right? So for me, I started speaking in meetups in universities, right? So speaking to people and in meetups in my university and all that, right? So one can start from there, right? So the little thing you know, the little demo project you work on, you can speak about it, right? And then, although we know in the software world certifications are not like all in all, but then again we know the weight that cloud native certification hold, right? So it's always a great idea to work towards like a KCNA certification, which is the entry level certification, right? And get involved in community work. So this just summarizes my entire journey, right? And the main goal, like I spoke with Mohit, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. So is to just get a lot of questions, right, from my experience, right, and from to answer some questions and help as much people as I can in their journey. So the next thing I just want to share is the best way to get started, especially as a beginner. Because if you look at now, if you look at the entire job market, let's say you're learning some things, you're looking for opportunities. Everyone is looking for opportunities, right? But opportunities are rare, and a lot of opportunities are not for beginners, right? A lot of opportunities I don't know if you can relate with that, right? A lot of opportunities are not for beginners. A lot of opportunities are some of them unpaid, right? So the best way to actually grow in this space and tech in general is to get an internship. But now we're in a situation where like organizations do not have internships open, right? Or some of the internships are unpaid, or there are limited opportunities, right? So where does that take you? To open source community programs. So the one that I mentioned, the Google Season of Docs, right, GSOD, is an open source community program, right? And that is a program that anyone can get involved in. Let me just turn off my the notification. So yeah, so open source community programs. So there are so many open source community programs. I've received this question a lot of times, right? Or people asking me about like how do I get involved? What are the programs? What can I apply for, right? So I just created a Google a QR code, or if a particular repository that has like about 60 programs like listed on it. So most of these programs are paid. So if you're watching this talk now, you can just pull up your phone and scan this QR code and you go to the repository, right? And you can also, if you're watching it later on in future, you can scan. And there are so many programs on there, right? And so many programs that can get your foot in the door. I personally know, aside from being a recipient of one of the programs,
Yeah, sorry to
what
interrupt you
was
guys. What you can do is scan this, and you will be able to know about it. Yeah, continues. Sorry, Divine.
Yeah, no problem. I know a lot of people that have gotten these programs, right? And I've gotten opportunities through these programs, and like some of them, like Indians, some of them from different countries, right? And that is the good thing we have, like as a community in the like the CNCF and in general tech ecosystem as a whole, right? Because a lot of organizations are sponsoring these programs, a lot of organizations are sponsoring these opportunities, right? And yes, you may not have that flashy, I did an internship in AWS or I did an internship in Microsoft per se, but you get to work on core technologies and core tools, right? And in some cases, big organizations, right, that all these products, like all these other companies use. For example, now I worked on Cilium. The time I worked on Cilium, Cilium was a big product, but it was not like as popular and known as it is, right? It was still incubating. Yeah, it just became an incubating project in the CNCF landscape, right? So it was not as big as it, but now I Cisco bought Isovalent, right? And so now I can actually say that I did something that Cisco bought. I don't know if you get the idea I'm trying to pitch, right? So I know so most of these programs are paid, right? Because money is good and everyone needs money, right? And most of these programs are paid. So you get paid to learn, right? You get paid to learn. So that's all what I wanted to share, right? And if anyone have like any question, they can just ask me anything. And I don't know if my LinkedIn profile was shared or anything. So you can ask me any question concerning all my experience. And maybe if you have some question you wanted to ask, like Julia, right? Though I might not very be as good as Julia, but you can ask and I'll see to answer.
No,
Uh,
that,
what,
that
yeah,
that's great. I'm sharing your profile to chat. And
okay.
there's a question from Naveen that I write blogs, but I haven't got any clients. How can I start getting work in technical writing, especially with AI around? So, Divine,
Yeah,
can
so
you throw some light on this?
yeah, I can. So have you like actually written, you have some blogs you have written? So this is now me asking, sorry that I'm answering your question with a question. So how do you have like a portfolio? Have you written some blogs that you can share? Because like that is important, right? Because seeing with AI tools, for now I have an agency aside from the product I'm working on now. I'm trying to build a business. Okay, so that is it, right? So I think Nevin, you answer your question. So you actually have to write first,
So, he's
right?
just starting, his new in tech, so just starting around. So if you can give some tips and tricks, that
Yeah,
would be great. And I believe that's, everyone's question. And he's like doing in hash node, I believe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think hash dev.to is very good, right? I've used Hashnode and dev.to, right? So these are good platforms. So I think dev.to is much easier. From my experience, I prefer it to Hashnode. So you can create an account there, and as you're new to tech, what you can do is anything you're learning, write about it. That is the entry point. So if you're learning, let's say you're learning about Linux, Linux operating systems, right? Different types of Linux operating systems. You know, there's Ubuntu, there's CentOS, there's Rocky, and all, right? So you can write a technical article about that, right? So even though like this AI, there's one thing, and just like Julia said, right? And I think you said it can replace like the human context, right? The human conscience and some technical expertise, especially in this space, like in the cloud native space. So anything you learn, you write about it, right? So when you write about it, another thing I think is very helpful, when you write about it, you can share to people to review and give you feedback. If you connect with me on LinkedIn, it's possible. If you write an article, you can share to me to give you feedback, right, on how to write and get better. The only way organizations, right, will trust you to write for their blog is when they know that you have written and have an experience writing, right? And that is when they will trust you. If you try to, there's a repository, just give me a second, I'll find the repository of community writing opportunities, right? But the thing is, community writing programs. Just give me a second. Yeah. But the thing is, most of them will ask you for a sample, right? Most of them will ask you for a sample, right, of your blog and stuff. So I don't know if that answers your questions, Naveen.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And there's another question like, do I need to buy domain and how to get gig in the writing?
Yeah, so with platforms like dev.to, right, you don't need to actually like own a domain, right? You can just create an account there, you have a profile, and you'll be writing it's your personal space. With Hashnode too, I think Hashnode, you have the ability to like buy a domain, but you don't necessarily have to. Personally, it's only this year that I bought a domain name for my personal profile. I've not had it all, and I'm currently in my 8th year of my career. So it's only this year that I actually bought a personal domain. I did have it before, but I didn't renew it because I never used it. I've never had like a personal like online profile. But then again, I'm not saying that it's not good to build a portfolio and have a domain to your name, right? That's not what I'm saying. Like I built everything DevOps and had the domain. But what I'm saying, that should not be a barrier, right? For you. You shouldn't worry about that. You should just to start writing about what you're learning, right? Writing about what you're interested in, and then connecting with people, right? Coming to events like this, going to in-person conferences, right? And it's kind of like I would say, a three-pronged approach, right? In the sense of like you're learning, right? You're talking about what you're learning by writing or making maybe a post on it. You're building projects and stuff. Then you're going to conferences and meeting people, right? And that goes to like the next question, I think by uh,
Ishi.
Ishita, right?
Okay.
How do I get job in community as a fresher? To be honest, that's it, right? How hard the market is, right? Job market is, right? Everyone can agree. The best way to get opportunities is when you know someone and someone knows that you're good, right? And how will people know that you're good? You know, at what you do is when they see your work, right? So talking about your work on social media is very important thing. But then again, I'm not saying you should want to be an influencer or go to the or start saying or start lying, right? Or saying things that you don't really know, or talking about things that you get. But it's about like talking about what you're learning, right? And meeting people and like that is it, then applying for opportunities, right? Because if you don't apply, and for example, just like I said, I listed so many opportunities like the QR code. Let me go back to the QR code. These are so many opportunities that can add to your resume, and these are paid opportunities, right? And are entry level opportunities. So as a fresher, I will urge you to scan these and like look at the so many opportunities, read about each of them, and work towards applying for them. Because if you work towards applying for at least 5 by next year, chances of at least one entering is very high, right? So that is what I would advise. Like aside from jobs and internships, open source opportunities, open source programs like this are where there is like so much value, and most of them are paid in thousands of dollars, right? For example, at Google Season of Docs, right, for Cilium, though I was already working and had like so much experience, I was paid about the entire project cost about was about $9,000. This was 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, right? So I don't know if that gives you idea. There's so much money, like you get paid for your work. I get paid like from a US perspective, right, with some of these open source programs. So I don't know if that answers your question, Ishita.
Yeah, correct. I think you're right. And also, like which earlier you said, the technical writing is again a good way for a fresher to express themselves and be in the eyes of the recruiter, right?
Yes, exactly.
Because the way they are presenting the things, so the and especially not copying pasting from the chat GPT or any other tool. Yeah, like they can take help, but you have to personalize the things, like you have used that product, since
Yeah.
like I have like over 12 years of experience, so I have personally used the firewalls, I have personally used the
Yes.
AWS, Azure. So whatever the problem I am facing, it may not be, I don't have to be a perfect for a fresher, I'm saying. Don't have
Yeah.
to be perfect, just express whatever you did actually, that matters a lot, I believe, right? I think it's correct, right, Divine?
Yeah, that's correct, right? And to be honest, I always advise people not to use AI in the early of their career because, like, though AI would help you do things faster, but you lose a lot of fundamental understanding that will not enable you to use the AI better. I don't know if you get what I mean. So that's if you want to learn about something or write about something, just use only Google for now, right? Because that is how like it has been for the past 20, 30 years, right? Since Google has been existing. You will learn a lot of stuff, right? That when you use AI later down the line, maybe make a promise to yourself for the next 6 months, I'm not going to use AI. I'm just only going to use Google and my personal research, right? And looking at blogs and reading and my personal practice, right? Once you commit to that, 6 months after, you will see that the way you even use your AI will be much better than someone that just started like using with AI with everything they want to do. Right. I don't know if you agree with me.
Yeah, correct. It's very much like driving automatic car. So first you need to learn the manual one, then you can drive it better. If you don't know
Exactly.
the mechanics behind gears, clutches, it would be really tough, you know.
Yeah, and most people that drive automatic, right, that don't know how to drive manual. What
Yeah,
if you're in an emergency now and the car you see is a
yeah,
manual car? You get, because emergencies will still happen and you can't even press down the clutch. You don't know you have to clutch down before you get. So yeah, that's a good analogy.
correct. I agree. So, like, this is my question
Okay.
because like I said, I am quite gray hair man. So, if I have to build a product, so I'm not interested in a job or something. I'm like
Yep.
interested in some building something cool product. So, but I do have certain limitation because I'm also doing corporate training and managing family and all those
Yeah,
things.
I understand.
Yeah. So how do I like break? Because I heard that if I can be a maintainer and people can contribute to the project. So what are some ways, where I can motivate the people in my repository? So
Moderate. So what do you mean by moderate? Like
motivate to
motivate.
contribute. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for building a product, most of this product, right? Most of the product and projects out there, people are paid to work on them,
Hmm.
right? So I would say the first thing you need to do is find those people that are using your products on their day to day,
Okay.
right? On your project on a day to day. So if you find those people that are using your project on a day to day in their environment and all, right, in their work, reach out to them and tell them can they sponsor your product. Maybe one or two of them may agree, even if it's $10, $20, $50, some hundred, or if it's an organization that is using that particular project, right, for them to sponsor. Now, that goes, if you go back now, that means you have to build something people love and people will use, right? So once people start using them, right, and people are sponsoring and organizations commit to sponsor, right, also urging, like, if people love a product and their life is dependent on the product, right, talking about it, right, and telling people to like contribute to it. If like your life is dependent on product, I think it's not an easy or straightforward thing, somewhat natural, that when they see that most of their issues cannot be resolved, they will start having to resolve their issues, right, or either commit like monetary value to their issues. then maybe you can now like hire people to work on the product full time or the project full time. I don't know if that like helps give you an idea of how to approach it. But the main core thing is people use the product, people love the product, people are interested in the product, right? In the project products, yeah.
Yeah, right. I got it. Thanks so much. So, guys, any other questions like you have for Divine, because he's carrying a lot of experience with him, and it can be really beneficial for us to break in into the tech, because this like since we are, although there are some talks about recession and all, but I don't think there is a recession because I get a lot of work. I don't have time actually to do work. You know,
Yeah, I
maybe
think
maybe
yeah, it's mostly for early opportunities. Like someone reached out to me for a job right today. I think it's early career opportunities that it hits more because a lot of people are looking for experienced people, right? A lot of
correct.
organizations
And
are looking.
also, I would, from my perspective, what I've seen is sometimes we, have too much ambition. Like we should aspire for more money, but we should first, like, if you're getting some small gigs, also we should accept it. That is what my, because we should not be always, talking about $1,000, $2,000. Even if you're getting $100 gig, although that might be work of $1,000, but if we are just starting, we can do that. That is what I think, because what I have done is like I have done work on $5, $2 also, you know.
Yeah,
Although I was I know I was getting underpaid, but since I need to have that international exposure,
experience and stuff. Yeah.
right? So I believe you can sync on that, right? Correct. This is
Yes,
my,
that's true, right? When you're early in your career, they are not like I'm an advocate of not going for unpaid opportunities. But if there's pay, no matter how small, if you're trying to get your foot in the door, I would say take it, right, and get your foot in the door. I know where I started, right. My very first like opportunity was unpaid, so I reached out to the organization, right, that I want to work for them for free, right. The next opportunity, I was just getting an internet stipend, and if I tell you the amount of money in, I think if with the rate of dollar now, that money was about $3, right?
yeah.
It was $3 per month that I got a stipend with the current exchange rate now. $3 back in Nigeria, $3. So that gives you an idea of like we all start from somewhere, right? And now that is not the conversation I'm having now, right? After a few years and experience. So just like as much as you want to get your foot in the door, I see a question from Fabrizio.
Yeah, because like Julia also mentioned, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So everyone
Exactly.
should be, on that it's a marathon. So we have question from Fabrigo. So if you can answer that.
Yeah, Fabrizio asked for Divine. You talked about your past experience. What's your current goals and or goals to integrate your future life with the CNCF and projects that could come out there? So yes, and that is thank you very much, Fabrizio, for that question. For me, my current goal at the moment is do a lot of community work. Right, that's why I accepted to speak at this event, and also community work from in my home country, Nigeria. Right, and I'm planning and organizing a KCD Nigeria, which is happening this August, right? And the entire goal is like, okay, you guys have KubeCon India, right? Our entire goal is that we want a KubeCon Africa in the very near future, right? So that's what we are working towards from a community perspective and helping as much people that look like me and that are from like underrepresented communities. Then from like a Kubernetes standpoint, aside from my business, like helping Kubernetes organizations like create technical content and all that, right? I'm working on some projects, which is k8projects.com. So I'm tapping it here. I'm basically building a Kubernetes platform, right, for communities, right? A Kubernetes platform for, I would say, a Kubernetes platform for a platform for reviewing Kubernetes projects. I can just share my screen. I can change my screen to there. Uh, yeah, so basically the idea is, especially when you're new to the ecosystem, right? You know there are several projects you can use to get the job done. So the idea is to help organizations, right, and individuals make decisions, faster decisions, not just based on like, okay, this is the project that is out there, no, but based on people's feedback. Because like as human beings, we all make decisions based on, like, if you want to buy something new, you ask people around, you read, let's say from Amazon, you read the Amazon comments and stuff like that. So that is what, like, I'm working on, right? And I can just share the landing page. So this is just like a landing page, and anyone can, if interested, can join the waitlist and share their experience, right, from a using Kubernetes project. So I don't know if that answers your question, Fabrizio. Thank you very much for that question. Let me go back to be sharing.
All right, guys. So, any other questions we have for Divine? Divine is doing really divine work, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
And so, we would like wait for another questions, if
Yeah,
any. Okay, you have already shared the repository list, like where people can contribute, and also this is recording and that will go online, so people can refer
yeah,
to it later also. So
yeah. So
yeah, guys, any other questions we have for Divine? So you just told that you break in into the tech by this technical writing and all those things, right? Like, would you like to shed more light on that?
yeah, so I didn't break into tech via technical writing, but I broke into, like, as an engineer. But technical writing is also a good way, right? Because, like, you're not only learning, so you're not just writing. When I say technical, if I say one should go through the approach of technical writing, I would say, as you're learning, be writing and sharing about it, right? So be writing articles and sharing about your learnings and all, right? Because, like, it shows people that you know what you're talking about, right? You know what you're learning, and also room for improvement. Because if you say something that is wrong, right, in most cases, people on the internet will point it out that this is wrong, and you learn from that, right? So that is it. So just like you build a project, you write about, okay, how you built this, right? You write a documentation. This does this. Let's say if you look at it from, like, a very technical perspective, right? You write, you build something, and the code you wrote, um, what is this? I'm trying to remember this. Like, when they say your algorithm has too much, is it the big O notation or something, right? So if now you write a code that, okay, with so many while loops, right? And you know how machine intensive while loops are, right? Or nested for loops and stuff like that, right? So now, and you share that and you write about that and you write an article and you put your code there, right? Not using AI. I'm removing AI from this context, right? So now people can actually give you feedback on, like, okay, this is wrong. And now bringing AI, you can actually help tell AI to review and give you feedback on what you did, right? Is this right? Can I do this better? And then you get better. You have more understanding of, like, what should be done right and what should be done correctly. Because now there are tools like Kursor, for example, right? Kursor helps you build. You build with Kursor. But if you don't know how to write code, right, or if you don't know how to build, right, if you don't know how to write normally, right, AI will hallucinate. AI will lead you down the wrong path. It will lead you down a rabbit hole. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
Correct. So, do we have any other questions? If not, I believe we can wrap it up.
Yeah. So
Okay. Is there any tips for GSOC?
yeah, for
He
GSOC,
wanted to write about GSOC. GSOC, yes.
yeah, the tips for GSOD and all these community programs is, let's say for GSOD, for example, when a project is announced, try to reach out to the people that are, like, hosting the project, the mentors in the project, right? Also, try to contribute the project beforehand. Same thing goes to Google Summer of Code. Same thing goes to
Also,
R2.
yeah. Also, you can throw some light on LFX mentor. Right. Both are in the same way you wanted to tell.
Yeah, so LFX mentorship, though I haven't like been a part of LFX mentorship, right, personally. Well, LFX mentorship, I know a lot of people that have gotten opportunities through that, right? The key thing I would say, like, and I'll see, it's not for an absolute beginner. So when I say absolute beginner, somebody that has not done anything, right? Most of these opportunities, you should be doing something, right? Let's say now today, as of today, you have not deployed the Kubernetes cluster before. You have not written any line of code before.
Yeah,
Make
because
it,
everyone has the same thing. Na? They applied many times and they get rejected. So that's how they can get inducted into it.
yeah, so that is the thing. So just like what Julia says, right? If you get rejected, maybe ask for feedback. What can you do better? Right? It's all about improving. So when you get better, for me, there are so many opportunities I've applied to that have gotten rejected. So many, right? Even for conference talks, even for program. I've applied for outreach two times and I got rejected. Right? Google Citizen of Dogs, it was only once that I applied and I got accepted. But then again, there are so many other programs that I've applied for, and some of them didn't even get back to me. But it's constant improvement when you're getting better, and you keep applying and you keep asking for feedback, right? Rejection is part of the journey, just as though it's not like a sprint, just like Julia said, right? It's a marathon. So rejections will happen, right? Rejections will always happen. I too still get rejections as at this day. Everyone gets rejections at so many levels, right? So it's just about learning from like, okay, this rejection, what can I do to improve? Always, if someone rejects you for something, you can always reach out to them and ask them, please, can you give me feedback on like why I was rejected? In most cases, people will actually give you feedback on what you can do to get better, right? Then you improve on that. Then you keep applying for the next opportunities. You just once you keep getting better, right? You will get to a point that the universe will reward you. So people then call it luck, but you actually created your luck by doing what needs to be done, right? Because you improve your chances, right, of getting lucky. So I don't know if that like offers some insights into that, because I like so many opportunities, like even until this day, so many opportunities I still get rejected for opportunities, right? So it is normal. Just embrace rejection and use it to fuel your ambition.
Yeah, right. So that's really great. And I believe we have no more questions. So we would close this. And thank you so much, Divine.
And
And
thank
thank
you
you
very much
all.
for the opportunity.
Thank you all for being a part of this amazing experience at CNCG Dehradun. And like again, my heartfelt thanks to Zulia, our previous speaker, and Divine. So they are sharing their inspiring journey and showing us how we can contribute to the amazing community of the cloud native environment. And yeah, so this is just a beginning, and we are very excited to build this chapter and contribute. So everyone, join in and follow us on LinkedIn, follow Divine on LinkedIn, and yeah, you will be getting some more exciting tips and tricks how to break in. And until next time, stay curious, stay connected, stay blessed, and love you all. And good night in India, and good afternoon or good morning in other countries. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's our Ashutosh shining off. And all right, thanks, Divine.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Have a great night.
Yeah, bye. Bye, everyone.